Why it will never work with the narcissist. Think about that for a minute. So you're understanding more about narcissism, and you're understanding that all of these relationships, each and every one of them, they all expire. Yes, they all have an expiration date. Some of these narcissistic relationships, let's say they're shorter term. Let's say it's for a season. A season could mean maybe you were an employee in a company and maybe you were only there for maybe a semester or for half a year or a year. And maybe that's where you met the narcissist. And then you moved on, you moved elsewhere. But you've taken that mentality and you've taken that experience with you. And that's how you found my channel. Maybe it was somebody you married who turned out to be the narcissist. And you know how that went. As soon as the wedding bells rang, the cake was cut, the guests had left. The ring no sooner then was not only on your finger, but it was off their finger. And now we know how that ended. Maybe the narcissist was one of your parents and you were living under their roof, or maybe you still are for quite a long period of time. And then you realized, oh my gosh, something's not working here and it's not me. I get along with everybody, but one or both of my parents continue to give me a hard time. Well, here we go. Ding, ding, ding. You see, the narcissist is everywhere. These people are shapeshifters. They are dark energy. They never wanted you to figure out who they were. They never wanted you to know what they were doing. They did not want you to heal from their toxicity. They didn't want you to believe in yourself. They didn't want you to surpass them, or better English, I should say. They didn't want you to do better than them in life. Let's talk about misdirection for a moment. What does the narcissist do? They misdirect so many people away from their potential, from their purpose, and from what they could be doing. That's not only with the career, but with relationships, or with vacations, or with the clothes you wear, or the haircut, or the words you used, or when you talked, or when you didn't. Remember, the narcissist wanted to steal everything out from underneath you. They stole whatever they could from you, and it started with your identity. Then it went to your lexicon, which is your words. Then it was your mannerisms. Then it was how much they disrespected you, and you got accustomed to that, which is a slow drip of toxicity. I'll jump into that right now. When you're in the narcissistic relationship, what happens is you get accustomed to abuse. You get accustomed to toxicity. You get accustomed to certain behaviors when you don't know that these behaviors have terms for them or definitions. Example, let's take the very basic one, but it's a toxic experience that you went through, you endured, gaslighting. What is gaslighting? Well, first of all, gaslighting was the word of the year in the Webster's Merriam, or whatever it is, Webster's Thesaurus or dictionary years ago. I believe it was 2021, and that's not a coincidence. And I believe the word of the year this year in 2026 should be authenticity. But whenever those people come out with their word, and my hope is it's a positive word, spreading abundance and mindset and possibilities of what you could be, which is abundant. And I hope that that's what they do, but whatever they do is what they do. But way back then, when you were being gaslit by the narcissist, you didn't know what gaslighting was, and you got accustomed to it. And what is gaslighting? It's when the narcissist or a toxic person is having you doubt your sense of reality, or that things did or didn't take place. And over time, the narcissist would gaslight you so often that you became accustomed to it. And what did you do? You didn't put up a fight any longer. What did you do? You just listened to them. What did you do? Probably shrugged your shoulders and just said, yep, all right, if you say so. Because you figured out that you were so beaten down and broken, but yet you felt compelled to serve your abuser, yes, the narcissist. You knew that if you said something, you would be punished, and that it would be easier if you did not say anything, which is why you were the regulator. You were the person who was regulating the narcissist. I hope this is making sense for you now. What is regulation? Regulation could be the thermostat in your house. What do you keep the thermostat at? I don't know, 68 degrees, maybe 69, maybe 70, whatever it is. If you live in a cooler environment, what you want to do is have a little heat in your house. If you live in a warmer environment, you want to have a little coolness. That's why we have fans and centralized air conditioning and windows, etc. Well, that is how you can regulate the temperature in your house using a thermostat or a thermometer or a fan or an air conditioner, etc. Well, you were that appliance, and you were regulating the narcissist. You were the fan, you were the air conditioner. You were the unpaid helper. You were the walking apology and so much more. Because the narcissist, in their tiny little pea brain, they need to let out their toxicity, because if they were to actually have to look at themselves in the mirror and address the toxicity, which they won't do, it would create a monumental narcissistic injury, one of which they may never recover from. So when I share that, now you're understanding more and more and more about what gaslighting is and how you got accustomed to the abuse. And it's not only with gaslighting. What about financial abuse? Well, I'll tell you right now, what does the narcissist love more than money? They love your money more than money. And when the money runs out, usually the narcissist is right behind that. Or the narcissist will beat it when the money runs out, because they would have known that they used up so much of your money that's when the discard happens. Any way you look at it, these people are all sinking ships. Yes, the narcissists, they're all ticking time bombs. They all know what they're doing. They all continue to do it, and they all know that their days are numbered and their supply sources are dwindling, and they have fewer and fewer rocks to crawl underneath, fewer and fewer corners to lurk behind, and they have fewer and fewer places to hide. And this is why it will never work with the narcissist. You see, what you did when you were in that relationship is you were giving to a fault. And you were a people pleaser, most likely. You certainly have a high level of empathy. You were an open book. You wore your heart on a sleeve, and you were committed. The narcissist wasn't committed to you at all, other than getting you committed to them. Play that part of the video and play it multiple times. I will say it again. You were committed in that relationship because that's who you are. You are a person that has authenticity and commitment. The narcissist wasn't committed to you or that relationship. They were committed to making sure that you were committed to them. Meaning, would you pledge your allegiance to them? Would you be loyal to them? Would you turn a blind eye? Would you not trust your instincts and intuition? Would you ignore red flags, etc.? And you did all those things and more. And so when you realize that the narcissist never cared about you, they never loved you, they don't love anybody because they don't know how to love. They know how to destroy love. They have no empathy. They know how to steal empathy. They don't want to work at anything other than working on people getting to do things for them. I'll say that again because I didn't say it the proper way. They don't really like to work. What they like to do is work on people and get those people to work for them. That was said properly. Now, having said these things, when you realize that it will never work out with the narcissist, then you need to be grateful that you are out of that circumstance, that you're out of the toxicity, and that perhaps by now you have cut the 4 ties. The 4 ties are the emotional, the financial, the physical, and of course the spiritual tie. Those ties must be cut by you from the narcissist. You must untether those ties, cut them. And as you cut them, you get stronger. The stronger you get, the weaker the narcissist gets. The weaker they get, the more clarity arrives in your mind. The clearer your mind gets, the more you realize that relationship was 1,000 times worse than you thought it was. The thing is, you never could figure it out because you were always being given more and more tasks to accomplish. You were being sleep deprived. If you had kids, you were being counter-parented, not co-parenting. You couldn't catch your breath. You would wake up in the morning, the narcissist would be long gone. You'd go to bed by yourself and they'd be downstairs on one of their 3 smartphones, their tablet, the laptop, or the desktop, grooming new sources of supply, i.e. your replacement. And you were spending less and less energy on yourself and more energy trying to fix an unfixable relationship from hell. Yeah, the narcissistic relationship. You see, if you were taught this way back when, you could have avoided certain things. You could have seen the signs way before you did, but you weren't. Now you are. Now you're understanding that you need to keep your cup full. You need to maintain the boundaries that you've implemented. You need to maintain no contact, and you need to maintain the wisdom that you've acquired. All it takes is one slip up from any person, I mean anybody, and you could go backwards. This is the exact reason I create videos each and every day, to pay it forward, to help out people who need help and don't even know that they need help, that don't have the answers that I have, and that need help because they perhaps were discarded extremely recently and they have no idea what's going on. At one point, we were all what is known as the new supply. The new supply is not, and I repeat, not who you want to be. That is the last person on the planet you want to be, the new supply. The reason that I am saying that and emphasizing it is because the new supply is in for a very long, toxic, bumpy road of manipulation, of lying, of stealing, of cheating, of misrepresentation on the behalf of the narcissist, and so much more. That is not even counting the financial abuse, the late nights checking the phone, the being ghosted, the verbal abuse, and the smear campaign. What is the smear campaign? You should know by now. If you don't, I'll share it with you. Smear campaign is when the narcissist enlists an army of people, many of which you knew, some of which you never knew, and most or a lot of which you will never know. And that army of people is drinking the Kool-Aid that the narcissist was pouring into their cups. When I say that, if you are too young to remember what Kool-Aid is or know what Kool-Aid is, it is a drink that when you drink it, in the old days, it was a drink for kids to get your vitamin C, etc. It turned out it was nothing but sugar. But in the old days, there was a person, an infamous person, named Jim Jones, who had all of his followers, all of his flying monkeys, all of his enablers, all of the people that were listening to him, that were caught up in a trauma bond with him, drink the Kool-Aid. And what happened when they consumed that Kool-Aid? A few hours later, they were not living. Why I'm saying that is because that is what the narcissist is. They're a grifter. They are a Ponzi artist, Ponzi scam artist. They are a person who wants to take advantage of people and manipulate them. And they want to do whatever they can do to get as many people close to them as they possibly can, so said people will do things for the narcissist. I shared this in yesterday's video. If you missed it, you should watch it. There are different types of these people. One is called the communal. And if you know what that is, you now know that these people have flocks, herds of people who are subservient to them, who believe that they are doing a good thing when in fact all they're doing is feeding the beast, who is in turn stealing from them. Now all these things equal one thing, which is the thumbnail, which is why it will never work with said person. You did everything you could. You went above and beyond the call of duty. If you think you could have done more, you would be mistaken. If you think you should have done more, you would be wrong. If you think that the new supply is doing any better than you, again, you would be wrong. This is what these people do. They burn people out. They get close to them. They sink their dirty fangs into them. They extract whatever they want to. They inject their toxicity. They discard, they wash, rinse, repeat. And then they wash, rinse, repeat. The thing I'm sharing with you, and I've been mentioning for a few months now in this year, is that these people have fewer and fewer places to access. Now you may say to yourself, well, why do you keep saying that, and does it really matter? I keep saying it because it's true. And it matters because it's a great thing for you, and it's a great thing for me, which means when these people, i.e. the toxic people, can't feed off the healthy, stable people like yourself, that means they have to look inward, and they're going to have to get what is known as supply from elsewhere, and that will not come from you. Remember, as I've shared with you for years and years, and I'll say it again, you're not supply. Supply is what a Clorox wipe is, or what a paper towel is, or a Kleenex. You are what I call a beautiful, bright, shining light. Having said all these things, when you realize that it wasn't your fault, that that relationship was going to end one way or the other, and that it ended when it was supposed to, even though perhaps you didn't want it to end, and that, yeah, the narcissist knew what they were doing. Yes, they're doing it right now if they're still breathing air. And yes, they will go to their deathbed. They will go down swinging, still blaming you and blaming anybody, never being accountable and never taking responsibility, throwing anybody under the bus that ever knew them at any one point in time. And that's not even counting all the people that they made up in Fantasyland. What does that mean? Think about it. The narcissist makes up people because they live in a world of make-believe. There was an old play, I think it turned into a movie called Harvey. Now, truth be told, I never saw it, but I believe it's about a rabbit who never existed or something like that. And you may say, well, why did you bring that up if you never saw it? Well, I'll tell you why, because I'm very smart and I am very well versed. And just because I know something doesn't mean I read it. But Harvey is something that I believe it pertains to this video. And yes, I'm not the narcissist. And yes, I am giving myself a little bit of credit. And I hope you're laughing or smiling with me. You're probably saying, jeepers, Andrew, it's about time you gave yourself some credit. Well, you would be right. It's been 6 years. I'm healed. I'm in a great spot. My hope is you are too, or you will be. But what you need to realize is that all the references I throw at you, they are to jog your memory. So eventually something clicks. And when it clicks, then you get a light bulb moment. And when you get a light bulb moment, you realize it wasn't your fault. And when you realize it wasn't your fault, then you realize that that person knew what they were doing. They did what they did intentionally, deliberately, and on purpose. Think about what the discard is. What is a discard to you? Before you knew what narcissism was, a discard to you perhaps was this. Oh, you're playing a game of cards and you want to pick up another card, but you have to throw an old card that was in your hand on the pile. So you have to discard a card, playing card that is, to pick up a new one. Yeah, that's what a discard is. To the narcissist, you were a playing card. Whatever card you think you were a playing card, and they discarded you just as easily. And I shared this in a couple videos over the last few years. I'll share it again. In any deck of cards, there are 52 cards. Then there are 2 jokers in there. What do you think a joker is? Ding, ding, ding. There's your raging narcissist right there. Do two jokers or one joker fit in a deck of cards? No. And I learned what the deck of cards history is. I researched that the other day. You see, I am researching just like you are. I'm going down different rabbit holes of education and exploration and trying to put the pieces of the dots, or put more and more pieces of the dots together for you to save you time. And so it clicks with you. And so you can take what you like and leave the rest. But I won't stop doing research. I will continue to fight for you. I will continue to believe in you and humanity. And I believe in you and humanity more now than I did ever. And I will believe in you and humanity tomorrow even more than I do today, if that's possible, and it is possible. And by the way, what are a deck of cards? Well, think about this. A couple quick things. There are 4 seasons in a calendar year. There are 12 months in a calendar year. There are 4 suits in a deck of cards. There are 365 cards if you count them all up, because 12 times whatever it is, 16 I think it is, or 4 times 6, whatever the number is, it equals 365. That's what it is if you add up all the cards, meaning a 2 is 2, a 3, 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 9, or whatever that number is. You see what I'm saying? If you add them all up, they should equal 365, which is how many days there are in the year. Yep, see what I'm saying? It's all connected. And if you think we're not connected, you need to play this video over and over and over again. We are all connected. I'm connected with you no matter where you are. You're connected with me no matter where you are. The narcissist was connected with you, which is why you need to cut the ties and you need to focus on yourself. Control what you can control and elevate and ascend, and understand that there's nothing more you could have done. There's nothing the new supply can do. There's not one thing anybody can do to help the narcissist. And the narcissist knows that. The narcissist knows they're riddled with anxiety. They know they're a sinking ship. They know they're a ticking time bomb. And they know that they need to destroy people's lives. Why did I say the word need there? Because they know that they have one button, and that button is on. They don't know what the off button is like. They will never know what off is. This is why the narcissist was always on the go. This is why they have multiple smartphones. This is why they can't sit still. This is why they're always grooming new sources of supply. And this is why they treat anybody, and I mean anybody, like a playing card, like a toaster, like an air conditioner, like a spare tire. Understand what I'm sharing with you. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing this video from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. I love you all. I'll talk to you tomorrow on a couple things. The playing deck card analogy, I got most of it. I didn't get all of it, but the whole point is if you add up the numbers in the playing deck of cards, I believe it equals 365. And there are 4 seasons in a calendar year. There are 4 suits in the deck, on and on. If you research it, you will find out what I shared with you is true, but I probably left out a couple little nuggets of wisdom there. Anyway, you can research that, or I'll touch it up and add it to a later video. Next thing I want you to understand is be kind with yourself. Be patient with yourself. That relationship wasn't your fault. If the narcissist walked up to you and handed you a 2-page report and said, this is who I am, this is what I've done to many people before you, and it's what I'm going to do to you, you would have run for the hills. You would have said, thank you, but no thank you. You would have closed the door on that person. You would have said, lose my phone number. Don't ever, and I mean ever, show up here again in your entire existence. But that is not what happened. The narcissist infiltrated your life. They weaved their way into your reality. They brainwashed you. They lived in your mind rent-free. They controlled you. And then right when they took whatever they wanted, around the corner came the discard. Wash, rinse, repeat. That's why once you get the wisdom, you have to close the chapter of the book on the narcissist once and for all. That is the path. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye. Enjoy yourselves. Be kind with yourselves, too. Be kind with yourselves. I love you. Bye.